Today I decided to go check out Target, which is one of the stores I semi-frequently go to go in thinking I am a black bisexual female. And after my experience of shopping there with that mentality, I realized it was semi-challenging. I found most of the items I could find on the list. The only two that I had difficulties were finding a bandage that, you know, matched similar to the color of my skin. Um, Cover up. Oh, three things. That cover up and um, a romantic novel. For example, for the romantic novel, I was going in as a bisexual woman, in my head thinking, oh, I'm being really specific. I want to find a novel that pertains to my mentality of, you know, conflicting with my sexuality and, hoping to find a book that related to how I feel with, sometimes wanting to be with men, other times being with women. And most of the books, granted, we could find heterosexual books or homosexual books. I found mainly heterosexual novels, romantic novels, and that I felt was difficult. And I personally, in this identity, I did not feel comfortable to go and ask for help to find a novel pertaining to my orientation, sexual orientation, because I felt I would have been judged or looked at funny. And that's one of the things I realized, being in this identity that, it's a challenge every day to be who you are. And as well as, with the finding a cover up and the bandages, after I tried looking through them, through the items in the aisles, the closest color for the cover up was a mocha color, which in my own skin color now it was just a few shades darker, and I found that surprising because, again, thinking I am a black woman, I pictured myself having much darker skin, and I saw how there were a lot of limitations to my own skin color, and as well as bandages, they only had nude. So overall, with finding help, I didn't feel comfortable trying to find help after looking at the reality of, oh, these are all they have, this is what they have available, and I didn't think to go to other stores because I had the assumption that they would just be the same, because most of the stores I would have gone to, like TJ Maxx, Kohl's, are, they're chain department stores, but I realized they gear mostly to lighter women, in particular white women, and that made me feel uncomfortable because I felt excluded in that aspect. With the hair products in particular, I found that there are a few items, I would say maybe 5 different items that pertain to black hair, black women with hair, different type of hair. And price-wise, I felt most of the items, even for hair like mine here, white hair or other types of hair that isn't black hair, I felt they were still pricey, such as Garnier, L'Oreal, Tresemme. I would think the more simpler products such as Head and Shoulders or Suave were the cheapest ones. So comparing those to the specialized black hair products, obviously the black hair products are more expensive, but comparing the black hair products to those bigger names, bigger labels, I felt the prices were almost the same. And even so, I felt that because there was such a limited amount of black hair items, hair products, I felt I didn't really have a choice. If I needed to get a shampoo for my particular hair, those were the only choices I had available to me. despite how expensive they may have been, and if I don't, have that money available, or if it's not my budget, it made it tough for me to, you know, have other options. So I felt forced that I had to look only in this area instead of a whole aisle of products. And I think, again, there were about like 5 products that pertain to for black women, whereas for white women or non-black women, there were quite a lot. I couldn't tell you how many, but it was more than 5. And when I, noticed, made observation of who was working there, I noticed most of them were white Caucasian females, instead of having anyone that was, tan or dark skin. And so I felt there would have been a big disconnect between the two of us if I had asked for help. And if I were to encounter problems with one of the salespeople, want to talk to the manager, I feel the manager would have been either a white, middle-aged Caucasian male, or a younger, middle-aged, mid-20s, middle-aged Caucasian female. And I just felt that many different companies. I think basically I felt that with this whole experience I felt very limited, and especially find the difficulty in birthday cards. I noticed how where they had pictures of women, they were all white, young females, older females. No matter what kind of joking card it was, they were all Caucasian, none of them which were non-white. And I found that very shocking and surprising, because I was, flabbergasted in a sense, where I was able to find actual children's books that had a black character on the front page, although that black character was still not the senator or the main character, but still there, as compared to birthday cards that have been around just as long as books, and to this day I still have not seen a black or non-white female or individual on a birthday card. And that it struck me as I just didn't even know what to think. I was annoyed. I was pretty annoyed to see that, and I just felt overall this was a semi-challenging activity. Granted, I felt I was going with the notion that we're trying to be more modernized in day and age, we're becoming more accepting, but it's still in my face in that identity that there's still a lot of limitations and restrictions, and very few choices for me to pick from if I wanted to, lather my hair or have a birthday card that related to my friend. And I just felt I couldn't really be happy with picking these items that didn't relate to me. So I just thought that going in with this identity made me realize how, I guess, messed up, being in this society has been. I mean, not saying that, it is the horrible thing, but at the same time, being in that role, I can see a little bit better how tough it still is for these women, and for the black race in particular, to still be upset with these obstacle courses that they still have to go through in order to live civilly, to just have a normal life like anyone else. They still have more difficulties in these finding simple items in a day. It took me over an hour just to find most of those items in the store, whereas if I was myself personally, it would have taken maybe half an hour or less to find all those items, because there are so many more options for me. And I realized, again, that's part of, you know, white privilege. And so, again, this whole activity just made me, understand a little bit better of, where the struggle is coming from for them.